What if what you have been calling loneliness is not a punishment but a calling? What if the silence that echoes through your home at nightfall is not an emptiness to be filled, but a sacred space your soul has requested in order to bloom? There is a presence in silence, an ancient whisper asking to be heard. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting with the self begins when all noise ceases." It is there, in the absence of distractions, that the true work of the soul begins. Modern culture has taught us to fear solitude, as if being alone were a mistake to be corrected, but the path of self-knowledge does not unfold in the crowd. It is born in the desert, in the dark forest, in the crossing of the unknown within oneself. You may feel that something is missing, but perhaps what is missing is not another person. Perhaps it is you, forgotten, fragmented, asleep beneath countless external demands. This video is not about finding love out there. It is about recognizing the silent call to prepare your heart for a love that arises from within. A love that does not need but chooses. A love that does not complete but overflows. Today, we will walk together through this delicate and profound territory where absence transforms into presence and where solitude reveals itself as the womb of the most authentic love you have ever known. If you feel this video touches something deep in your soul, like this video, subscribe and share it with other women who are also moving through this sacred season of inner silence. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Breathe. And come with me inward. Chapter 1. Loneliness as a portal of initiation. Imagine an ancient cave, cold, silent, damp. Outside, the world spins at full speed. But inside, there is a sanctuary of gestation. This is what loneliness looks like when seen through the eyes of the soul, an initiatory portal, a sacred pause between who you were and who you are about to become. Carl Jung understood this space deeply. In 1923, after years of inner conflict and crisis, he retreated to Bollingen on the shores of Lake Zurich. There, he built a stone tower, not for the world to see, but for his soul to inhabit. No electricity, no phone, no distractions. It was absolute silence he sought. And there, Jung wrote, painted mandalas dreamed. He knew the path of individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are, requires solitude, not as escape, but as a matrix of transformation. In archetypal psychology, this moment is often compared to the myth of Persephone, daughter of Demeter, who is taken into the underworld. At first, it is pain, but over time, Persephone transforms into queen of the underworld. She descends fragile, but emerges powerful. So it is with the woman who accepts the passage through loneliness as a rite of initiation. When you feel alone, perhaps you are, in truth, being summoned inward, to look your own story in the eye, to embrace what was once rejected, and to allow something new to be born. True loneliness is not absence, it is gestation, and like all gestation, it requires silence, time, and trust. Chapter 2. When old love must die for the new to be born. Have you ever felt that a relationship had ended, long before its official ending, like a flower that still appears alive, but whose roots have already dried up? The soul perceives before the mind. And when love dies, even if the other person is still present, a part of us has already begun to grieve. Carl Jung accompanied many women through their processes of separation. One of them, named Sabina, came from a relationship that was intense, but marked by dependency and emotional confusion. At the end of that relationship, she found herself in ruins. And yet, it was in that same moment that, paradoxically, she began to hear her own voice for the very first time. Jung guided her to see that what she felt was not only the pain of losing the other, but the beginning of her reunion with herself. He would say, "The meeting with the other is only possible when the meeting with oneself has already taken place. When an old love ends, what dies is not only the bond. A version of you also dies, the one who made concessions to fit, who ignored inner signals for the sake of apparent peace, who molded herself to the other's shape in order not to be abandoned. And that hurts. It hurts the way leaves die in autumn, silently, one by one, as if the tree itself knows it must shed in order for spring to come. We are so used to associating endings with failure that we forget every symbolic death is also a seed. The old love did not fail. It fulfilled its role. It revealed wounds, mirrored forgotten parts of you. But now it is time to let it go with gratitude. Letting go is creating space, and no deep love can grow in soil cluttered with what has not yet been composted. It is necessary to clear, to honor, to release what was, in order to receive what is yet to come. Chapter 3. The soul's call to become whole before uniting. There comes a silent moment in a woman's life when she intuits, with a certainty that does not come from the mind, that the love she seeks outside can only be welcomed once she has reunited with the love that lives within. Carl Jung called this the inner marriage, the alchemical union between the feminine and masculine aspects of the psyche, represented by the archetypes of Anima and Animus. Within every woman lives an inner masculine, the one who acts, protects, structures, decides. And within every man dwells the inner feminine, the one who feels, nurtures, intuits, creates. But when these aspects are not integrated, we search for in the other what remains fragmented in ourselves. We ask them to be strong for us, to save us from vulnerability, or to love us in the place of our own self-love. Jung believed that true love can only be born from the union of two whole beings, not from two halves seeking completion. This vision echoes ancient alchemy, the union of sun and moon, fire and water, spirit and matter. And it is in this process that solitude gains a new name, preparation. When a woman begins to access her inner strength and to trust her intuition, her boundaries, her vision, she begins to become her own bride. It is a pact of integrity, a commitment to her own truth. Have you noticed how, over time, your standards have shifted? How that intensity that once felt like love now rings as imbalance? That is your animus reorganizing itself. It is you, within, laying down the foundations you once sought outside. Share in the comments. Do you feel like you are becoming whole? Your story may be the mirror another woman needs to remember her own worth. Chapter 4. The voice of the shadow and the fertile silence. Every woman carries a forgotten house within herself, a locked room where emotions have been kept for years, deemed improper, ugly, or dangerous. Anger, jealousy, ambition, the desire for freedom, deep sadness. These feelings form what Jung called the shadow, all that we reject in ourselves for fear of being unloved. During seasons of solitude, this dark house reveals itself, not as punishment but as invitation, as if, in the fertile silence of the soul, these parts were saying, "At last I may come out, at last you can hear me." Jung used to say, the shadow is 90% pure gold. What does this mean? That behind fear lies courage, behind anger lies a no never spoken. Behind jealousy lies the forgotten desire to be chosen by oneself. A woman only becomes truly whole when she descends into this house and lights a candle in each dark corner, not to judge what she finds, but to love it. To say, "You are also part of me, and now you may return." How many times have we entered relationships asking the other to validate the very parts we never accepted? How many times have we demanded that someone protect us from what we lacked the courage to face alone? In the silence of solitude, the shadow speaks, and though its language is dense, it is always liberating, for it is when we stop hiding who we are that we begin to truly love ourselves. And this truth holds magnetic power. It transforms the very kind of love we attract. Chapter 5. The Body as Oracle, Listening to What Was Never Spoken. Have you noticed that sometimes the body speaks before the mind? A lump in the throat, a weight in the chest, a fatigue no night of sleep can resolve. The body is the temple where the psyche expresses itself when words have not yet reached what we feel. In his practice, Jung observed that many physical symptoms arose from a silenced soul. He treated women with anxiety attacks, insomnia, inexplicable pains. And by exploring their dreams, images, and stories, he uncovered repressed emotions, denied desires, buried traumas. When these truths came to light, the body would ease, as if it were saying, "Thank you for finally listening." The nervous system, according to modern neuroscience, is shaped by repeated emotional experiences. And when we live in relationships where we had to remain silent, shrink, or merely survive, our bodies learn to live in chronic alertness. This state of hypervigilance generates anxiety, exhaustion, and emotional blockages. But in conscious solitude, the body finds room to recalibrate. It begins to shift from defense mode into healing mode. Intuition starts working again. The heartbeat slows. The mind grows quiet. Connection with the body is essential in the process of individuation. It is compass. It is oracle. Listen to your heartbeat. Notice where tension resides. Embrace your pain as symbolic messages, not as failures. This deep listening to the body is the beginning of a new relationship with yourself, one grounded in presence and compassion. And when this new relationship blooms, it transforms all others. Chapter 6. Blooming in Solitude, Signs You Are Becoming Whole. Inner blossoming does not always arrive with clarity. Sometimes it comes as lightness in the chest where there once was weight, or as the absence of hurry where there once was despair. You don't notice you are changing until one day you realize that a certain type of message no longer attracts you, that old pattern of man no longer moves you, that the anguish of being alone has lost the power it once held. Jung called this the emergence of the authentic personality, when a woman ceases to live as a reflection of others' desires and begins to live from her own center. She no longer responds to life out of fear of not being loved, but with the calm of someone who has already chosen herself. And that's when the signs begin to appear. You feel more at peace in your own company, intuition sharpens, and it begins to guide both big and small decisions. Conversations become deeper or simply less necessary. You no longer need to explain yourself, nor justify yourself, nor shrink yourself. You begin to realize that the absence of noise is not loneliness, it is presence, and that the silence that once felt empty is now fertile. It carries ideas, inspirations, guidance. It is as if a quiet garden were sprouting inside you. It is at this stage that love stops being a rescue and becomes an invitation. You no longer want someone to save you. You want someone to walk beside you. And if that person has not yet arrived, it's okay. Because you know, something in you has already arrived. It has already bloomed. It is already home. Chapter 7. The Inner Altar, an exercise to prepare your field for love. There is a sacred space within you that may have been ignored for a long time. Today, we will access it together, creating an inner altar that will serve as symbol, practice, and portal for the love you are cultivating. This exercise is simple, yet profoundly transformative. You may do it with a journal, a candle, and a few minutes of silence. Follow the steps below gently. 1. The call to presence. Sit in silence and light a candle. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel your breath as a golden thread connecting you to the center of the earth and to the infinite sky. 2. The ritual of writing. Open your journal. Write a letter to your future self, that version of you who already lives in deep, calm, conscious love. Describe how she feels, where she lives, how she looks at herself, what kind of relationship she experiences. Do not write as a wish, but as if it were already reality. This is the language of the unconscious. 3. The encounter with the animus. Visualize your inner masculine, not as an idealized man, but as an energy. Perhaps he appears as a mountain, a steady voice, a silent night, a structure that protects you from within. Ask him, "What do you wish to teach me now?" Listen with your heart. 4. The final blessing place. Your hand over your heart. Thank yourself for being alive, for being in process, for preparing. This exercise may be repeated whenever you feel longing for something that has not yet arrived, because perhaps that something is you coming home. Conclusion. Solitude as the sanctuary of true love. Perhaps throughout your life you believed that love was something to be conquered, a promise out there, another person who would bring meaning, companionship, salvation. But what Jung teaches us, and what the soul confirms when we grow still, is that true love is not something that finds us. It is something that arises from within when we are ready to receive it. And for that, the soul needs space, silence, and a time of sacred solitude. This journey you are living now, with all its pauses and uncertainties, is the fertile ground where the deepest love has already begun to sprout. Not because someone is on the horizon, but because you are here, whole, welcomed, alive. You are becoming the woman who does not need to be chosen, because she has already chosen herself, who does not beg for attention, because she embodies presence, who does not plead for love, because she carries love within. And it is this state of completeness that changes everything. Connections that arrive are lighter, encounters are truer. Solitude is no longer a prison, but a temple. If this video spoke to your soul, share your experience in the comments. What signs have you noticed that you are blooming? What pains have you been embracing with more love? Your words may touch another woman who, in silence, is living the same process. And if you wish to continue this journey, watch the next video on the channel, Conscious Relationships and the Law of the Mirror according to Jung, where we will go deeper into how the other reveals hidden parts of ourselves. Solitude is not absence, it is preparation, and you are almost ready, or perhaps you already are.